Jarilo, talk to beat. They get time to play, time to work. Work will I play my picky and make jack or talk. They get time to play, time to work. Work will I play my picky and make jack or talk. Oh baby, work, my daddy, oh, work hard, my baby. Work, my picky, oh, work hard, oh baby. Work, my daddy, oh, work hard, my baby. Work, my picky, oh. When I'm playing the tourists, wake up. One cars and clothes, wake up. You want all the best at the wake up. Energy, doing my picky, you want wake up. When I'm playing the tourists, wake up. One cars and clothes, wake up. You want all the best at the wake up. Energy, doing my picky, you want wake up. Too late. Hope you feeling good tonight. Oh lady, when the US to Liberia, they make it to make you win. For I bet on my novia, this can I start at the place you. Oh baby, work, my daddy, oh, work hard, my baby. Work, my picky, oh, work hard. And I just stand, the fire will fall. If we work to build this nation, all we fall. So, well. Sweat to increase your success, yeah. Well. How can we progress, yeah? Oh, baby. Work, my daddy, oh. Work hard, my baby. Work, my picky, oh. Work hard, oh, baby. Work, my daddy, oh. Work hard, my baby. Work, my picky, oh. When I'm putting in the drawers, wake up. One cars and clothes, wake up. You want all the fancy tea, wake up. Energy, doing my picky, you want wake up. When I'm putting in the drawers, wake up. One cars and clothes, wake up. You want all the fancy tea, wake up. Energy, doing my picky, you want wake up.
Black that things my eyes confess. Every day I give you praise. We only got one life to live. Brother, think and calculate. One life is all we need. I need a friend in need. One life to my enemies. Love put them to shame. Another time for play. Let them to walk. How I can play. Let's get to work. Keep on working. Don't mind anybody. Keep the fire burning. Cause your time is coming. See me.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, men and women. Welcome to Tony Commander Galpohkpa Chesson Talk Show. Every morning we wake up, there are new incidents across the globe. We awake the situation between Israel and Palestine. And we look throughout the world. We see the problems of remembrance of the incident in Tulsa, Oklahoma. In 1990s, when hundreds of black people were killed for nothing. The beautiful city, the Wall Street, Black Wall Street, was destroyed and demolished. And hundreds of people killed and buried in mass grave without anybody accounting for it. Without anybody being held accountable. But then again, they turn against the black people and accuse us for the acts of insanity perpetrated against blacks in Tulsa, Oklahoma in the 1900s. And we see it time and time again this year as leaders of the United States of America try to plunge black people back into enslavement. They are trying now to take away our voting rights, to make it harder for us to vote. Why? Because they know we ain't going to follow racism. They know we ain't going to follow hatred. They know we ain't going to follow the evils that have destroyed this world. Juju, Aduna, Sumuyaya, Santeria, you name it. They're using it. They're practicing it. And they want to tell us our world is running as it should run. When this QAnon is behind me, shaking up everything. When QAnon is the voodoo of the new white revolution, supremacists, race supremacists. QAnon is no different from Aduna or Sumuyaya or Juju or Santeria. This is a new voodoo over American leadership. Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here, my people? But we have to start on our own footing, because without that, we are nothing. Liberia is our only home. Liberia is our only home. We cannot sit and watch Liberia die. Liberia is our home. Liberia is our home. The only home we know. Let's fight to bring it back. Take it from the rogues. Take it from the thieves. Let us punish them. Liberia is our home. Liberia is our home. All you patriots rise. The time has come to end the massive stealing of our wealth. Rise, oh patriots. Rise, my patriots. Time to get our nation back. Liberia is our only home. We cannot sit and watch Liberia die. Liberia is our home, the only home we have. Rise up, patriots. Rise up, loyalists. Commander Chesson is calling the order of the day. Liberia is our home, the only home we know. Liberia cannot die. We owe it to our parents. We owe it to our elders. We owe it to the ancients. We owe it to our parents. Liberia cannot die. Rise up, oh patriots. Rise up, oh loyalists. Liberia is our home, the only home we have. Fight, fight for Liberia. Fight, fight for freedom. Fight, fight to free Liberia. Liberia is our home, the only home we ever know. Liberia is our pride, the inheritance we have. Rise, patriots, rise, loyalists, rise, Liberians. Follow Commander Chesson. Follow Commander. Follow Commander Chesson. Rise, rise. Atoning Commander Chesson shall lead the order. Save Liberia, free Liberia. Follow Commander Chesson. He will set the path. He will set the path. And that you can take to the bank. So my topic is up to, let's get into it. The true history of the West African Republic of Liberia. Number 2, finding a president of Liberia today. And number 3, is that hope for Liberia still? We have come a long way as Liberia and Liberian people. Our path has not been an easy path. I look at my people today. I look at my young Americans who are Liberians today. We have a problem of knowing who we are and understanding the circumstances that have made us and caused us to end up where we are today. Firstly, we have to understand our history. I listened to young Leo Johnson today on his show, Focus on Liberia, talking about Liberian history, talking about the slaves, how they went there, and they didn't know anything, and there was a system in Liberia and Africa. You know, it's all sound good when you have that rhetoric to show that you're educated. But that's not the crux to understand our history. That's not the foundation to understanding what made us who we are today. There was a system in place in Liberia, in Africa, in the region, but it was not one system. There was just not one tribal group or one tribal nation sitting in Africa. So when these young kids talking about slaves coming with their knowledge and imposing it and sound like they know what they're talking, no. It wasn't that simple. Leo Johnson coming to found Liberia wasn't that simple. There was not just one big tribal system of leadership here. So don't impress upon the people who listen to you or upon the young children who think you are so erudite that our trouble is so easy and simple to explain. It's not. Because there was not only one tribal state in the region. There were village states. There were many states with different systems of leadership. Some perpetuated enslavement. Some worked with the Europeans to perpetuate the enslavement of other tribes and other people. Some did it through conquest of wars and trying to eliminate their enemies and get rid of them. So it just wasn't one system that the Congo people met here when we came. We met an area of warring tribes, several groups of village tribes warring against each other, village states. Some joined us. Some wanted to perpetuate slavery. Some wanted to control the region through their political might. So with the coming of these slaves, there was an added sense of security in the region, an added sense of peace, because we came as strangers in the area, not adhering to any specific tribal group, but united with our people and still remembering some of our culture from whence we left Africa. And that making it easier for us to identify with our people. So we have to put our history into perspective, because from our history come a pure understanding of our Liberianism and the development of our patriotic ideals that make us strong, trustworthy, and honest Liberian people. So we have to understand how to focus on our history. We have to understand how to teach our history. And not just think it's just some foolish thing we just play around. Oh, the Congo people came and they just have one idea of slavery. No, we didn't have one idea of slavery. That wasn't what Liberia was running off. There were also the recaptured slaves that came with the British ideas of teaching, with the British ideas of leadership, and joining with the free slaves and infusing all of that into our society. So it wasn't only the free slaves. Yes, the free slave were the dominant force, but then you had the recaptured slaves that came from other countries, the other parts of Africa, that were influenced with British education, with different kind of education, and they were infused into Liberian society. And that's what makes our society unique and great. We are made of 3 different African groups that represent the spectrum of a cross-section of the African diaspora, the African cultural system, the Africans' way of living. That's why Liberia is a melting pot. And we must honor our culture and teaching of our history. Because when you play with people's history, you can bring peace, or you can bring animosity, or you can bring jealousy, or you can bring hatred by the way you interpret people's history. And I didn't like the way Louis Johnson did it. Because he, as an educated kid, he should know better of how to teach our history, how to introduce the founding of Liberia, not with just the Congo and the indigenous people. No, we also had the the recaptured slaves in the region. All those things contributed to making Liberia what Liberia became. So initially, yes, it was the free slave. But as Liberia began to grow and began to bring our people into our society, with the recaptured slaves, it brought another dimension into our power, into our culture, into what Liberia is today. And that's what we have to sit down. Our historians, our professionals, and we have to devise a real instructional book for our schools that will incorporate all our history, but in a systematic and chronological way that will explain the growth, the changes, the ways the changes occurred, and how all of this have led to our modern society today. So we really need to have intellects get together and put a strong historical book together for us that will incorporate every aspect of our history and they can be taught in our schools. And they don't have to, it doesn't have to be one of those big books. We can break it down in sections, and then have the big book for those who really want to get a full understanding of the whole complexity of our society, our culture, and everything. But for our schools, we can break it down per class and sections. So all these things are necessary for us today. Because with our growth pattern must come the need to set the standard, the precedents, the processes for educating our society. And this is where our educators, our educational administrators, our educational people need to come together and sit down and plan this thing for us. That's why we have professionals. And this is where we have division of education, division of learning, where we need PhDs, masters, and bachelors to sit to the table together to devise teaching strategies for our schools, the type of books we should use, the type of writings and teachings that are encompassed in those books. So we really have a serious developmental problem. And for us to change, the intellects of our society need to take our culture seriously, need to take our country seriously, need to take the socialization processes of our children seriously, or else we'll all fail. Because there's a necessity now for us to set things into perspective of how we want Liberia to grow, how we want our country to advance and prosper. So it's up to us. It's up to us today to set our history, our foundation right, to lay the understanding of how we want our children to learn, the process of our growth. So it's up to us. And we are charged with the responsibility to set these things right and protect our society.
Group Incorporated, a Washington, D.C.-based entity aimed at strengthening democracy in Liberia, empowering the rule of law, fighting corruption, injustices, and advocating for the establishment for war and economic crimes court in Liberia. If you witnessed the murder of Linda Jury, an American missionary allegedly murdered by then INTFL leader General Prince Johnson, and want to provide information that will lead to the arrest and prosecution of now Senator Prince Y. Johnson under the United States jurisdiction, press 1. To report public corruption, rape, suspicious murders, and other gross human rights violations under the current government of Liberia led by President George Weah, please press 2. Remember that your protection and safety are very paramount to us, and all information you provide will be kept under strict. Please enter the first few letters of the person's name.
Okay.
Please the first few letters of the person's name.
All right, but I gotta hang up. So, folks, those are the numbers. When the office when the office is open, you may call and provide your information. Follow the voice prompt, and there you have it. That's the number for Liberia and the number for the U.S. Those two numbers. Call based on where you are.
So it behooves us as a people and as a nation to set the standards for a better and a new Liberia. And for us to do it, we got to start with the overhauling our society. And I keep telling you this. We need to overhaul our society. We have grave problems in our society. And it comes from every aspect. The educational, the social, the scientific, the professional, the business, the governmental. Everything in our country needs to be overhauled. And as we do it, we have to replace it with something. We have to replace it with better things. But in order to do it, as we overhauling it, we got to set the foundations for new things to come. So all of these things have to be in place. We have to have our educators. We have to have our professionals. We have our mathematicians, our scientists, all of these people engaged in the development of our country. Or else we'll still have this voodoo society, this Sumuyaya society, the Adona society that we're moving on, that we need to get off of, that we need to set a better trend for. And we need to lead our people into a new direction. The time of the Liberian people is here. The time of the true Liberian people revolutionary movement is here. For us to revitalize our society. For us to change those things that have made us weak. That have made our society corrupt. That have pulled our children back and caused them to lag in the education and the progress and advancement. Everything we do is about our children, about their progress and advancement, their futures. Because before we pass out, they will grow up with us. And whatever we set as foundation, we have the opportunity to show them it in real time and in real life before we pass. And that is the continuation of the cycle of life. And if we fail to do that time and time again, our society will go backwards and backwards and backwards and will not be advancing our future, who are the children of our nation. So we got to start our history. We got to put it in perspective. We got to find real people to lead our nation to the light, to a better foundation, to a better world order, so that we see before we die the progress and advancement that will start to manifest itself because we have laid the foundation for a better Liberian society. Let me take a break, then we'll start on my second lesson. Okay? But all these things are necessary for us and important for our progress and advancement.
back to me. 'Cause even though I am a man, I ain't too proud to beg. Even though I am a man, I ain't too proud to beg. Come back to me. Come back to me. Come back to me. Come back to me. You must be the moon looking down on the stars. Cause in the girl on TV can match your beauty. You gotta be a bad chick from out. You're so sexy, like swings on the black home. We can do time together. Plus, we understood life when I grow together. You put the age on love, so we're not together. Plus, your friends got you looking for the exit. Got you trying to be, you know, the next man. Check pushing the next man whip in the next man crib. Every minute of your second, I just think about you. Praying I'm hoping that you will come back soon. Right when you feel so wrong, I can just be love when everything goes wrong. Must be a nightmare, but I'm trying to stay strong. Even though you're trying to leave, I'm still trying to hold on. Come back to me. Come back to me. 'Cause even though I am a man, I ain't too proud to beg. Even though I am a man, I ain't too proud to beg. I remember back in the days, man, back when everything was fine. Remember the time I told you I said I would even bathe you and drink your bath water? Well, believe me, I did.
Finding a president of Liberia today. This is the grave challenge we face, my people. This is the grave challenge we face. Our nation, I don't want to keep saying at a crossroad, but I just we are at the crossroads. We either look back to the past and take our nation back into oblivion. We stand strong today and decide where we want our nation and people could go for the near future. We are at a crossroads, whether we like it or not, because we as a people must speak or die. We as a people must stand up as men and women of a new nation and republic, or we must perish with time. Because there's no way we can go on the way we're going on and survive and get integrity and get back our sovereignty, because we don't have our sovereignty yet. We are still under the protection of ECOWAS and all these useless organizations. We have those men and women in our country to stand up and say we are leaders of this great dispensation. We have nobody. Our country is just faltering. Our people just losing sight of who we are. Each and every day. Why? We got to come out of the darkness and we got to come into the light. We're not only on the spiritual nature, but on the physical front too. We got to come out of the darkness and come into the light. The light of truth, the light of decency, the light of law and order, the light of discipline. And if we don't come out of this darkness into this new light, prepared to meet the challenges of the day, we will not be able to find leaders to lead us into the near future nor the distant future. How to prepare ourselves for this day? Is that Juju, Adona, Sumuyaya? What? Are those the things that take us through schools and colleges? Are those the things that imbue us with the knowledge and wisdom that we have as Christians? I don't depend on those things. Do you? So where do our strengths, loyalties, and patriotism come from? Do they come from all these things? From all these supernatural powers and scheming things and demons and do and yeah and zzz's? Do they come from them? Or do they come from within us? Believing in our God and ourselves. If they're your gods, if the Juju and Sumo are there and Idona are your gods, nothing wrong with that. Stick with your gods. But let them fill you with the knowledge and wisdom you need to know to bring our country together, to bring this unification and integration, ideal and solidarity principle, and imbue it into us as a part of us, that it will be inherent in us. It will be deep. It will be deep, deep, deep. And we can call on these strengths at any time. Call on them because we will it. Because it's in our minds and we desire it. And these are the inherent powers we have to set our country straight, to set the order and discipline of our society, the norms of our society, the public policies of our society correct, based on our culture, how we see things, what we believe is good for our society. Those are the norms we seek. Those are the norms that make us who we are. Are we ready for them? Do we have these things available to us when we need them? When we need to call on them for our survival, for our instincts, for our social well-beings? Can we reach out to them? If they're not imbued in us, if not, they're not instilled in us, we can't reach for them. We can't reach for them. Because those are the things that make us who we are. When we have these principles, when we have the ideals that we hold to be true, when we hold to be evident that all men are equal, that all men are endued with the powers of God to rise, rise, and rise. When all men have that power in it, within you, then you have the foundation of belief. You heard what President Biden said to us the other day? I listened to him well. He said America is the only country that is not founded on religion, on creed, on any kind of thing else, but on the ideal that all men are created equal and endowed with the power of God to form a perfect union, to lead us. So America, just as Liberia, is an ideal. We don't follow no monarchy. We don't follow nobody. We follow our will and the will of God. Whichever God we claim to be ours. That is the God that is in our preamble, that in every aspect of our Constitution. Who is your God that relate to you? Is that God in the Constitution? That's why our nation is not a religious nation. Our nation is not a religious nation. We are a secular nation based on ideals and principles and our own discipline and our own will and spiritual divine direction. So that will make us great. We don't follow our nation and we don't follow one religion. Because that means we have to kill other people who don't practice our religion. Because our religion is a state religion. We don't follow that. We don't follow no king or monarch or somebody who got to kiss the ring because they got all the power and men behind them. No. We follow the ideal. Just that thinking that all men are created equal. And within us is the power of God that we can call up to unite ourselves, to bring ourselves together for the betterment of our race, our creed, our sexes, our society. And these are the things that matter. These are the things that are significant to finding a leader for the Republic of Liberia. When we find ourselves as patriots and leaders of this nation, when we find ourselves as the source of God-given power and strength of our nation, we can direct our leaders and our people as to how we want our nation to be led. We can set the pace, the tempo, the energy, everything for our society. But we have to understand, for that to happen, there has to be a strong sense of unity, solidarity, integration among our people. And to find a good president for Liberia, we have to look beyond money. We have to look beyond what people can give us. We can look beyond family and friends. We have to look to principles. We have to look to the rule of law and constitutional leadership. We have to look to what we have always had among us, but have never implied: the rule of law. And when we find a president who will not take stock but enforce the law, will not fool around but lay down principles of order, will not do anything else but to seek to break the chain of nepotism. It's hard. It's hard. Liberia is a small nation. We almost know everybody in our society. But somewhere, we got to draw the line and say, no. There has to be a line drawn to how far family can interfere with the rules of law in our government. We got to draw the line. And it behooves us to understand that it is in the best interest of our country, our people, to set these code of conducts down so that we can enforce them, so that everybody can know what they are. So when you violate them, you know what to expect. And this is why it is necessary for us to set the foundation for our country, for our people, and do it right. Because if we don't do it, our country will not grow. If we don't do it, there will be no Liberia. If we don't do it, one group of people will continue to lead.
My people don't want to
So, no matter how we shake it, no matter how we try to explain it, no matter how we break it down, finding a president for our country depends upon our abilities to understand and appreciate our society, our country, and our people, knowing that whatever decisions we make as a nation and the people is to serve the prospects for better lives for our posterity. Everything is for our posterity. Our debt, our happiness, our progress and advancement, everything we lay down is for the future generation so that they can have a chance to grow and keep the circle of life going, or we perish, or we fail and die. And that's why in our lifetime, we live to improve our standard of living. We live to improve everything we have, not demolish it, not fight for it, not break it down, not shoot it up. No, we preserve it. We serve it right. We maintain it so that our future generation can also benefit from the things we lay down in these days. So it behooves us. It comes from our abilities to understand how to choose a president for Liberia, what to look for in our president to lead us from one level to the next level, how to test our president, both physically and mentally, to ensure that whatever they do for themselves will be in the interest of the Liberian people. So that's how we evaluate our presidents. We look at them and their track records and their followers and their abilities to lead us, their abilities to make decisions, their abilities to set foundation for paths we have never gone before, pathfinder, to see who they're associated with, who they align with, who they will serve that will bring us harm, and to look at those leaders who want to stand strong on their own, who want to say there is a better day for us. We can't continue on this path. We have to find a better way. We have to find a better understanding of ourselves and our lives so that we can move on to a better way of life. And all of this boils down on what hopes we have for our future, what dreams we have for Liberia, what instincts we have to make our country a better nation and our people a better people. And that's how it flows. The president will give us this hope, will give us this dream, will give us this desire to get up and build and work and do the things we need to do to save our society, to save our people, to enlighten our men, to motivate them, inspire them, and cause them to rise up. That is the hope that our president gives us. The hope for life, the hope for work, the hope to work, the hope to build. And that's what makes us men and women strong enough to lead Liberia into the new dispensation. We can only say so much. We can only say so much. We can only appeal to our people so much. And then it falls on deaf ears. But if it falls on fertile ground, on solid ground, it bears fruit and grows with understanding and truth that we are the masters of our own fate. We are the masters of our own destiny. We are the masters of everything. We are. Aluta. Continue. Have a good day.